Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back. In this module, it is my pleasure to introduce Mr. Brad Martineau from 6th Division, a digital marketing agency based out of Arizona. Don't tell him this because it'll go straight to his head, but if you were making a Mount Rushmore of digital marketers, Brad Martineau would be one of those faces on there. He is a friend of mine, but also a colleague for whom I have a tremendous amount of respect. Not just because of his experience and his impact on the digital marketing and Infusionsoft community, but also because of his deep and profound understanding of systems and strategy and his ability to package those lessons up into meaningful and digestible pieces of information like what you're about to hear in this video. So Brad is going to talk about a bunch of things, but specifically he's going to talk about why he takes issue with the phrase marketing automation and some recommendations for how you might think about it instead to make the most out of it. And then also recommendations for where you might start when you get your hands on a marketing automation platform. Spoiler, it is not by logging in. So without any further ado, I'll let Brad take it away.
Hey, what's up, fellow entrepreneur and marketing automationer? My name is Brad. I'm the CEO here at 6th Division, although I'm guessing Greg already said that. And I'm guessing that Greg also already teed up the topic of conversation for today, which is hypothetically, if I were to record a video for somebody who is just getting started with marketing automation, and I was going to give them some pointers on how to get ridiculous results for way less time and way less energy and way less money, what would I tell them? And then also, again, hypothetically, if I were to record a video for somebody who had just signed up for Keap or Infusionsoft, what would I tell them so they could get crazy results and do it in way less time, way less energy? And the irony is that the answer to maybe there's not irony there, I don't know, but the summary is that the answer to both of those questions would actually be the same thing. So I'm going to go over just a couple of pointers that I believe, I've been doing this for a long time, that I believe if you follow will save you a tremendous amount of time, energy, and money, and simultaneously help you get better results. So a couple of pro tips. Number one, stop calling it marketing automation. The phrase marketing automation, the term marketing automation, is like a pair of glasses that has blinders on the side and then is tinted. And what happens is when we use that term, it severely limits what we see as being possible. And here's why. If we break it apart and we look at just the word marketing, marketing, first off, is one of those words that means like everything and nothing all at the same time. Everybody has a different definition of it. And generally speaking, when we get down into the weeds, marketing refers to those things like we got to run some Google ads and we're doing some SEO. It's all of our lead generation activities. Those are the types of things that we think of when we think marketing. And then when we think automation, we think of, set it and forget it, robots, like cold and impersonal stuff like that. And then somehow when they come together and we put marketing automation together, what I found is that it ends up being like, we can do email autoresponders. And so like 90 to 95% of the people I've interacted with, which I've interacted with a lot of people in the marketing automation space. And most of them, they're just basically sending some email autoresponders here and there. And that is such a small fraction of what is possible if we really understand what marketing automation is all about. So I'm going to invite you to use different terminology besides, hey, we're doing marketing automation. And what I'm going to invite you to do is call it, hey, we're building an automatic client journey. And here's why I say that. The client journey refers to all of the steps as somebody goes from discovering who you are all the way through to over here being super, super, super excited about the fact that they have done business with you and they want to shout your name from the rooftops. It's all the steps in that process. So rather than just isolating it to like, it's marketing stuff, like, no, it's the entire client journey. And automatic is a way better term to describe what we're doing than automated. Automated is about the process. But as we look at that entire, how people go from, getting to know your brand all the way through to being a client, there are lots of steps in there that cannot be automated, that human beings have to do. So when we're thinking automation, we miss all of the other places where our business and our client journey can be made to be automatic. So first thing I would do is stop calling it marketing automation and raise your sights to realize that what you're really up to when you decide to play this game called marketing automation is you're creating an automatic client journey. Or in other words, across the entire journey of somebody becoming a client who loves you, you are going to make it automatic so that you create better, more impactful, and more personal experiences at every single step, all the way along the way, all the way across the entire journey for your leads, prospects, and clients, not just on the marketing side. And you're going to make it automatic. And we'll use automation where it makes sense, but the goal is automatic client journey. The thing does what I want it to do every single time, and it runs like clockwork. So stop calling it marketing automation. Start referring to it as, hey, we're out to build an automatic client journey, that alone will start to shift. And sometimes it'll be subconscious, but it'll shift what you see and or believe as being possible when you refer to it by what it actually is, which is an automatic client journey. It's not just about marketing automation. So that'd be, we'll call it pro tip number one. Pro tip number two, don't start with the software. And even if you just bought Keap and or Infusionsoft, what you want to do is not log in there yet. You don't need to dive in there. What most people do is they do a thing we call blimplementing. And blimplementing is when you buy a piece of software, in this case it could be Keap or Infusionsoft, you jump into the campaign builder, you start dragging stuff around, you get like 3 or 4 hours into it, you're like, oh crap, what was I trying to do again? Okay, we don't want to do that. So what you actually do is you put the software away until you are crystal clear on exactly what it is that you are trying to make happen in your business. If you try to automate something that you're not clear about outside of the software, what you will do is you will just make all the chaos and all the problems happen more consistently. So what you actually want to be able to do is you don't need to log into the software until you can go to somebody else either in your business or in your life, and you can describe to them with clarity exactly how the software tool is going to do something and make something happen in your business. So remember, going back to the automatic client journey, you've got to be able to say, look, here's how somebody's going to go through my business. I'm going to show you step by step exactly what's going to happen. Once you have that, we call that a blueprint. Once you have that, you can actually take that and you can go build it into the software. But don't ever start with the software. That's where the problem gets created, is people aren't clear on the outcome they're trying to create, but they start to build it. Like, and just real quick, imagine if you were building your dream home and you just had some like subcontractors show up and you just started throwing up walls. You are not going to end up with the house that you want. There's a reason why you go get a blueprint done that helps organize and design and get clear on what you want before you ever lift up a hammer and anyone starts to swing any hammers or hit any nails or anything, right? Same thing applies here. What we're trying to do is build an automatic client journey. You have to know what that client journey looks like before you can go build it. So don't start with the software. And then the last thing I would say is never, ever build, launch, or execute anything that doesn't have clear and understandable reporting on top of it. So the worst thing that you can do, even worse than not leveraging marketing automation and not putting something into place, is that you put something into place that you don't have eyes on. The analogy for me is it's like turn the lights on and make sure that you always have a light switch for anything that you're building or anything that you're launching. If you think of it like a car, right? So you get in a car and you've got a gas pedal and you've got a brake pedal and you've got a steering wheel, right? So you can drive this car, which is great during the day. And then let's say you're driving it at midnight and there are no lights and you can't see anything. All of a sudden you're like, I don't know whether I should be pushing the gas or I should be pushing the brake. Should I be turning right? Should I be turning left? That's where you need lights. Lights are reports. Don't get so excited about automating something that you don't give yourself the ability to see how that's working or what's going on. You have to make that just be something that every single time you decide what you're going to automate or what you're going to build into your automatic client journey, make sure it has reports that are clear and easy to understand. So those are 3 pointers. I could go on and on, but 3 pointers are, number 1, stop calling it marketing automation. Talk about automatic client journey. Number 2, do not start with the software. Until you can clearly explain to somebody else what's going to happen and they get it, you have not earned the right to touch anything in the software. And then number 3, don't ever, insert lots of other evers, decide to build, launch, execute, or run anything unless you have clear and easy reports that you can look at to see how it's working. So hopefully that helps save you lots of time. I know that as you do that, it'll get you better results. You can do it in less time. It'll set you on a better path. Best of luck on your journey in the marketing automation world. And if there's anything I can ever do to help, just hit me up and let me know. All right, thanks. Peace.
Okay, guys, so that is it. As you just heard, Brad took the liberty of summarizing his own points. He put a bow on it for us and has pretty much, made my job obsolete. So real cool, Brad. Real cool. I guess that's it. I'll see you in the next module.